Hello YouTube, this is Darkon633 and today I'm bringing a review of the Jurassic World Growling Action Dilophosaurus. Now, this is the second figure of Jurassic World that I own, and I have to admit, this is not a bad figure. I know that a lot of the figures in Jurassic World have definitely not been up to standards compared to the older toys, but I think they did a pretty good job with this figure, even though, just to give a fair warning before anyone who's watching the video watches this from now on, for the next just a few seconds or so, it's going to be a little spoiled to the movie. Unfortunately, this dinosaur has not appeared in Jurassic World. Even though it is a part of the line, he never actually appeared, except for a quick cameo, which he did appear technically via hologram. But other than that, the Dilophosaurus itself did not appear in the film, and it is kind of interesting that we're getting a new figure of this dinosaur. And I guess it makes sense. It is technically a big dinosaur that's known in the Jurassic Park movies in general, so I guess it makes sense why they make a new version of it. Now, the one thing you can already see is that, unlike some of the other figures we've seen in the line, the button on the side, which activates the lights and sounds and so on, that area cannot be hidden. It will always have the bony, muscular structure, and there's no way to hide it unlike some of the other figures in the line, so keep that in mind. But other than that, I think he is still a rather impressive figure, and I still enjoy what they did for the limitations they had. Just look at the box. Since it is a part of the sound gimmick line, it is just the usual, like, if I remember correctly, $15 so price. It doesn't have any humans or anything, it's just the dinosaur. But it just shows you little gimmicks activates with the button on the side there. And it does have a launching projectile, which we see right here. But I'm not going to be showing it on camera, so I'm just putting it to the side. And that's pretty much it. There isn't a whole lot to this box. Anyways, we'll now look at the Dilophosaurus. Now, the Dilophosaurus is a fairly decent size, maybe in about... Sorry, there goes the sounds. Maybe about, maybe just the usual typical, like, 4 or 5 inch range. It's just a pretty big dinosaur. It's a good size, I think. And now we're going to get to it. Side there is the button. Then we have the Jurassic World logo, like they did with the other figures of the Jurassic Park, Jurassic, wherever, what movies they were. They have the design on the legs there. And then, it has a lot of good sculpting, I have to admit. And it even has a cool way where they kind of made it had a little design, where even though it is the speaker there, it does kind of mesh in with the design of the dinosaurs, so that's good. But obviously the only things that do stick out is the joint pieces and where you put in the battery and so on. But other than that, that's pretty much it for the Dilophosaurus on its own. To activate the sound gimmicks, as I mentioned earlier, you press this. This is him just kind of having a little screeching sound. And it does light up and it looks really nice in there. Show a close-up how it looks. Looks pretty good. And then, the other gimmick he has is technically his frills do kind of wobble a bit. Because he does actually do that on the film. Or at least the first film anyway, he did that. So, he does do that, so that's really cool. Then, the other gimmick he has, actually, is when you pull down the tail, it makes a growling sound. And then him spitting out the stuff from his mouth there, so as you can see there, just to show, when you press it down, it does fire. So, alright, I'm going to quickly do that again. So, there we go. As you can see. So that does an okay replication of what he did in the first film. Other than that, articulation points is that his legs do turn, and so does his arms, and nothing hinders that. So that's good they didn't actually hinder the articulation, at least in the arms or the legs, so he can still use them, but unfortunately, just because of the way that his design is, there isn't a whole lot of articulation you can do that won't make him unstable and fall over, so that's pretty much all you get with the Dilophosaurus. Now, for the $15 price point, you're not going to expect a whole lot, since they definitely went pretty cheap slightly in some aspects with the new Jurassic World toys, but I think the Dilophosaurus is still a really decent pickup, and I really did enjoy this dinosaur from the first film. Now, I got this at Target, and I'm not sure if it's at Toys R Us or any other locations, but I did manage to get this in Target not too long ago, and I think it's a decent toy, actually, for what it does. And for a kid's toy, I think a kid would enjoy playing with this, I guess. Depends if they like dinosaurs or not, obviously. But I still think it's a pretty decent Dilophosaurus, and articulation is pretty good, even though, as I mentioned earlier, you can't really move around with it too much. And the only thing I guess you could do a little better is if the mouth could open and close, but I can understand why it's open all the way because of the missile gimmick and so on. But other than that, I think this is actually one of the more fairly detailed figures in the line, since a lot of the other figures are not as detailed and just kind of painted over and there isn't much to them. But this one actually has quite a amount of detail actually all over his body, and even it's sculpted in kind of the bumps and the grooves throughout the body, and I think they did a nice job for this figure, and I still recommend actually picking this up, especially if you're a fan of the Jurassic series in general. Anyways, I might do some more Jurassic World reviews in the future, but it all depends if I just get a hold of another figure. I am actually interested in the giant T-Rex though, and I might actually get that to review. Anyways, please comment, subscribe, and check out Hirotaku and the Gideon blog for all the latest Hero news. Also, check me out on Twitter under Darkon633. Please check down the channels down below, including the WRW podcast, and I'll be seeing more reviews in the future. But for now, I'll see you on YouTube. Bye.